Hey, it's Alex. In this video, I'm going to show you why your current inventory counting method is costing you at least 10 to 15% of your revenue each year, and exactly how to fix it using the system called cycle counting. By the end of this video, you'll understand why waiting for annual or quarterly physical counts is killing your cash flow, how to implement a daily counting process that takes less than 30 minutes, and which inventory items you should prioritize to get the biggest impact fastest. What this means for your business is that you'll stop tying up cash in excess inventory, eliminate the cost for emergency orders when you run out of stock, and finally have real-time visibility into what you actually have versus what your system says you have. Here's what most business owners don't realize. Inventory inaccuracy isn't just annoying, it's expensive. When your inventory records are wrong, three things happen. First, you overstock items you don't need, tying up cash that could be invested in growth. The second is you run out of items you do need, losing sales and frustrating customers. And third is that you make bad business decisions based on faulty data. So let me give you some real numbers. A business doing $2 million in annual revenue with typical inventory levels of $400,000 will lose between $100,000 and $300,000 per year due to inventory inaccuracy. That's lost sales from stockouts, excess inventory costs, emergency shipping fees, and write-downs. The traditional solution is the dreaded annual or quarterly physical count. You shut down operations for a day or a weekend. You count everything. You discover massive discrepancies. You adjust your system. Then you go back to business as usual and let errors accumulate again for the next 3 to 12 months. This is reactive management. You're discovering problems months after they've started. By the time you count, you've already lost the sales, already bought the excess inventory, already made the bad decisions. The financial impact compounds over time. Small errors become big errors. 5% inaccuracy becomes 15% inaccuracy. And you don't even know what's happening until countdown. Cycle counting flips the entire model. Instead of counting everything once a year, you count small portion of your inventory every single day or week. Think of it like this. Annual counts are like only going to the dentist when you have a massive toothache. Cycle counting is like brushing your teeth every day. You catch problems when they're small and easy to fix. So here's how it works in practice. Every day you count a specific subset of your inventory. Maybe it's 5 SKUs, maybe it's 10, maybe it's 20. It depends on your operation size. You compare what you physically counted to what your system says. If there's a discrepancy, you investigate and correct it immediately. The beauty of this approach is that you're never more than a few days away from having counted every given item. Errors don't have the time to accumulate. Problems get caught and fixed while they're still small. And here's the key. You don't need to shut down operations. Cycle counts happen during normal business hours as part of your daily routine. It's woven into the workflow, not a special event that disrupts everything. The result is that your inventory accuracy goes from the typical 70 to 90% range to the 95 to 99%. And it stays there because you're constantly maintaining it. Now you might be thinking, I have 100 SKUs, I have 1,000 SKUs. How do I decide what to count every day? Well, this is where the ABC analysis framework comes in. It's based on the Pareto principle. 20% of your inventory typically represents 80% of your value. So here's how you categorize your inventory. A items are your high value, high turnover products. This might be that 10 to 20% of your spend represents 60 to 80% of your inventory value. You count these most frequently, maybe daily or weekly. B items are your medium value, medium turnover. These are another 30% of your, and maybe 15 to 20% of your value. You count these monthly. And C items are the low value, low turnover. These are the remaining 50% of, but only 5 to 10% of value. You count these quarterly or when they're moved. The framework ensures you're focusing your counting effort where it matters most. You're not wasting time counting a $5 item that moves once a year while ignoring a $5,000 item that moves daily. Here's a real example. We had a business with 800 SKUs. Using ABC analysis, we identified 40 A items, 200 B items, and 560 C items. They counted 20 A items per day, about 50 B items per week, and C items quarterly. This meant they were counting their most critical inventory every 20 days, while only spending 30 minutes a day on counting. The impact was immediate. Accuracy on A items went to 99% within 30 days. Stockouts of critical items dropped by 70%. Excess inventory started declining as they could trust their data. Now, before I show you the implementation plan, I want to make sure that you can actually do this in your business. I've created a cycle counting implementation template. It walks you through calculating your current inventory accuracy, doing an ABC analysis on your inventory, and building your counting schedule based on your specific operation. You input your inventory data, and it tells you exactly which items to count, how often, and calculates the expected financial impact of improving your accuracy. Head to the description right now and check out the template. It takes 5 minutes to complete. The insights will be immediately valuable. Check it out now, then come back and I'll show you the implementation plan. So here's your implementation roadmap to get cycle counting running in 30 days. Your first week is your baseline and ABC analysis. Pull a report of all your SKUs with their value and turnover rates. Categorize them into A, B, and C. Calculate your current inventory accuracy by spot checking 50 random items. Your second week is to build your counting schedule. Based on your ABC categories, determine how many items you need to count daily to hit your frequency targets. Create the daily counting lists. Assign responsibility. Who's doing the counting and when? Week 3 is to train and pilot. Train your team on the new process. Start with just your A items. Count them for a week. Work out the kinks in the process and make adjustments as needed. Week 4 is your full implementation. Expand this to include your B items. Start counting accordingly to your full schedule and implement a process for investigating and correcting discrepancies immediately. The key to successful implementation is starting small and scaling. Don't try to count everything on day one. Master counting your A items first, then expand. You also need a clear process for handling discrepancies. When you find an error, don't just adjust the system and move on. Investigate why the error occurred. Was it theft? Data entry error? A receiving mistake? Fix the root cause, not just the symptom. Track your accuracy over time. You should see measurable improvement within the first month. If you're not seeing improvement, you're either not investigating discrepancies properly or your counting schedule isn't frequent enough for your A items. Let me save you time by telling you 3 mistakes that kill cycle counting programs. The first is not investigating discrepancies. Cycle counting only works if you figure out why errors are happening and fix the root cause. If you are just adjusting numbers without investigation, making the same mistakes. The second mistake is counting too infrequently. I see businesses do monthly cycle count, and that's not cycle counting. That's just more frequent physical counts. Your A items need to be counted at least weekly, ideally daily or every few days. Mistake number 3 is not training the team properly. Your staff needs to understand why cycle counting matters and how to do it correct. If they see it as just another task on their checklist, they'll rush through it and accuracy will suffer. The businesses that succeed with cycle counting treat it as a core operational process, not just an optional task. It's as important as receiving inventory or fulfilling orders. When you give it that level of priority, you get results. So here's your action plan. Step 1 is to go into the description below and use that calculator to complete your ABC analysis for this week. This is your foundation. Step 2 is to calculate what inventory inaccuracy is actually costing you. Use the template to quantify the impact. This creates urgency and buy-in. Step 3 is to start counting your A items next Monday. Don't overthink it. Pick your top 10 SKUs and start counting 20 per day. Learn by doing. Step 4 is to track your accuracy weekly. Measure progress. Celebrate improvements. Investigate when accuracy isn't improving. Inventory accuracy isn't sexy. Nobody that starts a business gets excited about counting inventory, but it is one of the highest leverage improvements you can make. Better inventory accuracy means more cash, fewer stockouts, and happier customers, and better decisions. The difference between a business with 70% accuracy and 99% accuracy is hundreds of thousands of dollars per year in improved cash flow and profitability. That's money you can reinvest in growth. So drop a comment and tell me your current inventory accuracy. If you don't know, that's your first problem to fix. I read every comment and I'll give you specific advice for your situation. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.